During a family vacation, my parents told me to give up my hotel room because my brother needed it more. I smiled and said, "That's nice, but I have a better idea." Their faces dropped when the concierge made an announcement. I remember that moment clearly, my mom's shocked expression, my dad blinking in confusion, and my brother's smug grin disappearing in an instant. It was almost funny, almost. Let me back up. Growing up, my younger brother, Lucas, was the favorite. Actually, in my parents' eyes, he was the only child. I was just there, to babysit, to adjust, to give up things for him. If Lucas wanted something, he got it. If I wanted something, I got it maybe, which really meant no. I learned young that fairness didn't exist in my family. If I ever stood up for myself, I was called selfish or difficult, so I gave up. Instead of fighting, I focused on getting out. The moment I turned 18, I left. No more family holidays, no forced visits, just peace. Until last year. For some reason, after years of avoiding them, I agreed to a family vacation. Maybe I was nostalgic, maybe I thought they had changed, maybe I was just being dumb. The plan? A week at a beachside resort in Maui with my parents, Lucas, his girlfriend, and me. I paid for my own flight. I even treated myself to a beautiful suite with an ocean view. It was expensive, but worth it. I was actually excited, until about 4 hours in. We landed, checked in, and I was on my balcony, loving the view, when there was a knock at my door. It was my mom, wearing her "I'm about to ask you for something unreasonable" smile. "Hey, sweetie," she said, "can we talk?" I should have known. She walked in and shut the door like she was about to tell me something important. "So, Lucas's room isn't as nice as yours," she began, choosing her words carefully, "and he's having a hard time in there. You know how he is, he gets anxious in small spaces, and his girlfriend is with him, so it's a little cramped." I just stared. "I was thinking," she went on, "maybe you could switch rooms with him, just for the trip, it would mean so much to him." I laughed. "You're joking, right?" Her smile faded. "Now, don't be like that. You're alone, you don't need all this space." I felt that old familiar pressure, be the bigger person, give in. "Not this time." I smiled. "That's nice," I said, "but I have a better idea." Her face twitched. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone, scrolled for a second, and showed her my reservation. "See this? My name, my booking, I decide who stays here, and I choose me." Her mouth opened and closed like she was trying to find the right words. "But, he's your brother, family helps each other." I nodded. "Yeah, they do, but you never helped me, ever. That rule only applied to me." "Huh?" She started to argue, but I wasn't done. "You and Dad watched me struggle. I worked 3 jobs in college while you paid for Lucas's tuition, his apartment, his car. I lived on ramen while you sent him on vacations." She knew I was right. "You're 30 now," she finally said, trying to act like it wasn't a big deal. "You should be over this." I laughed. "Over what? That you only call me when you need something? That I'm only family when it's convenient for you?" "You're being dramatic." "Am I? Let's find out." I walked to the door, opened it, and motioned for her to leave. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "You're really saying no?" "I'm really saying no." She scowled. "Fine, I'll talk to your father." "You do that," I said, smiling as I shut the door. 15 minutes later, another knock. My dad. I didn't even let him start. "Let me guess, Mom sent you." "Son, let's be reasonable." I held up my phone. "Want to see the reservation again?" "That's not the point," he said. "Then what is the point?" I asked. "Because it sure looks like Lucas wants something, so you're trying to take it from me." His jaw tightened. "He's your brother, you should be willing to." I laughed. "Finish that sentence." "I should be willing to what?" Silence. "That's what I thought," I said. "Now, if you don't mind, I have a vacation to enjoy." I shut the door. Barely a minute passed before the next knock. This time, it was Lucas, and oh, he was mad. Lucas stood in my doorway, arms crossed, trying to look tough. I had seen this look before. When we were kids, he used it to get his way, but I wasn't a kid anymore. "You're being a real, you know that?" he said, shoving past me like he owned the place. I let him stomp into my suite, look around, and take in the view. I let him imagine himself staying here all week. Then I spoke. "You have about 10 seconds to leave before I call hotel security." He scoffed. "Security? Seriously? We're family." I smiled. "Yeah? Where was family when I needed help? Where was family when I was eating cheap spaghetti 5 nights a week, while Mom and Dad sent you money for a new gaming PC?" He rolled his eyes. "Oh my God, are we still talking about college? Get over it." "It's not just college," I said, "it's my whole life." He threw his hands up. "This is stupid. You don't even need this room. You're alone. I have a girlfriend." Do you know how uncomfortable our room is? Not my problem. It could be if you weren't such a selfish jerk. I laughed, actually laughed. Lucas clenched his jaw. He wasn't used to me standing up for myself. You think I'm selfish? I stepped closer. Okay, let's talk about selfish. Who got a car for their 16th birthday? Silence. Who had their college tuition paid while I had to take out loans? More silence. Who got vacations, spending money, and new clothes while I worked night shifts at a gas station? His face darkened. Why do you always bring up old stuff? Because you still act like you're owed something. Like mom and dad should just hand you whatever you want. But guess what? I don't owe you anything. His nostrils flared. He wanted to yell but held back. He took a deep breath, then smirked. Fine, keep the room. Just remember, you'll regret this. I raised an eyebrow. Reassigned. I repeated slowly. Yes? Daniel hesitated. Your room was switched to another guest. Your name was moved to a different reservation, a standard room. No balcony. I didn't even have to guess who did it. It was requested by your parents, he added carefully. My blood boiled. Daniel must have seen my face because he quickly said, but don't worry, sir, I haven't processed the change yet. It seemed unusual, so I wanted to confirm with you first. I took a deep breath, pushing down my anger. Good call, Daniel, very good call. I pulled out my phone and opened my reservation email. I paid for this room. It's under my name. No one else has the right to change it, not my parents, not my brother, no one. Daniel nodded. Understood. I'll make sure your original reservation stays locked. I exhaled. Thank you. He hesitated. Would you like me to flag your account so no one can try this again? A slow grin spread across my face. Daniel, that is an excellent idea. Still fuming, I marched to my parents' room. I didn't bother knocking. I pounded on the door. My dad opened it, looking annoyed. What the hell is wrong with you? You tell me, I snapped. I just found out you tried to steal my room. He didn't even look guilty. It's not stealing. We just made an adjustment. Lucas's room is small, and I held up a hand. Stop, I paid for my room. You had no right to touch my reservation. Mom appeared behind him, sighing like I was being difficult. Why are you making this a big deal? It's just a room. Then why didn't Lucas switch rooms? I shot back. Her lips tightened. Because his is on our account, and yours was separate. It was just easier this way. I laughed. This isn't about easier. This is about Lucas getting what he wants, like always. Mom crossed her arms. You're being dramatic. Dad huffed. Fine, keep the damn room, but don't expect us to pay for anything else this trip. That made me laugh even harder. Pay for me? You haven't paid for a thing for me in years. But sure, pretend you're punishing me. Meanwhile, I'll be on my balcony enjoying my ocean view. I turned and walked away before they could respond. The next few days were tense. Lucas sulked. His girlfriend glared at me. My parents acted like I had betrayed them, but I didn't care. I spent my days on the beach, sipping cocktails, and enjoying the room I earned. Then, something even worse happened. Mr. Alvarez, the hotel manager, called me down. Sir, we have a problem with your room charges. My stomach sank. What kind of problem? Over $600 in extra charges. Were they yours? I frowned. No. He nodded. I had a feeling. Let's check the security footage. A security guard rewound the video, and there he was, Lucas, entering my room, without a key card. I stared at the screen. How did he get in? The guard rewound further. That's when we saw it. Lucas wasn't alone. A hotel employee had let him in. A short, stocky guy in a concierge uniform swiped a key card and held the door open for him. My stomach dropped. Mr. Alvarez cursed. That's Miguel. He's worked here for 2 years. Never had a complaint before. Miguel looked nervous. Lucas told me it was his room, but his brother had the key. He even offered me $100 to let him in. I let out a short laugh. Wow, Lucas bribing hotel staff. That's a new low, even for you. Lucas's jaw clenched. Oh, come on. It was just a little money. A little? I snapped. You stole over $600 from me. Dad's head whipped toward Ryan. You did what? Ryan clenched his fists. You don't even need it. That was it. I turned to Mr. Alvarez. I want my money back. Now. Mr. Alvarez nodded. Miguel, you're suspended. Effective immediately. He turned to Lucas. If you don't return the stolen money, we'll call the police. Lucas's smug expression disappeared instantly. My mom gasped. You wouldn't. Oh, I would, I said, leaning in. This is a fancy resort. They take security seriously. So unless you want to explain to a judge why you bribed an employee and stole from your own brother, I suggest you pay up. Lucas looked at our parents for help. Dad shook his head. You're on your own, kid. Mom's face turned red. She opened her mouth, probably to beg, but I stopped her. You made him this way, I said. You always let him take from me, but not this time. Silence. Lucas let out an annoyed grunt, pulled out his wallet, and tossed $400 on the table. I didn't touch it, all of it, I said. His jaw tightened, but he pulled out another $200 and slammed it down. I smiled, took my money, and stood up. Pleasure doing business with you. Then I turned to Mr. Alvarez. If my family tries to change my reservation again, let me know immediately. Understood, he said, and as an apology for the trouble, we're upgrading you to a VIP package, free spa access, daily room service, and a sunset cruise on the house. I grinned. Now that's more like it. My parents sat there in shock as I walked out, leaving them to deal with their golden boy. The rest of the trip? Amazing. While my family sulked in their basic rooms, I was getting massages, eating lobster, and sipping cocktails on a yacht. Lucas avoided me completely. My parents were cold but knew better than to push me. And when we flew home, I blocked their numbers. No more second chances, no more being ignored. I wasn't their doormat anymore. And damn, that felt good. I thought that was the end of it. I got my money back, my VIP treatment, and my family was left to deal with their own mess. But Lucas? He wasn't done yet. A week after the vacation, I got a notification from my bank. Lucas had filed a dispute, claiming the money he gave me was a fraudulent transaction. I laughed. He really thought he could steal from me twice. I called the bank right away. I explained everything and sent them proof, screenshots from the security footage, the hotel's official report, and a signed statement from Mr. Alvarez confirming the theft. The bank rep barely let me finish before saying, "Yeah, we're denying his dispute." Lucas lost, and since banks don't mess around with fraud, they flagged his account. His credit score took a huge hit. Since my parents always bailed him out, I wondered how long it would take before he came crawling back for help. Spoiler, not long. A few months passed, I cut contact with my family, and life was peaceful. Then, out of nowhere, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Mom. Her voice sounded tense, almost desperate. "Listen, honey, I know things were tense after the trip, but we need to talk. Your brother is in trouble." I rolled my eyes. Here we go again. I didn't call back. 2 hours later, Dad called. This time, I answered. "Just get to the point," I said. "What does Lucas want?" Dad sighed. "It's not just him. He screwed up, and now it's affecting us too." I smirked. "Oh, do tell." Turns out, after the vacation, Lucas kept spending like nothing happened, but because the bank flagged his account, they froze his credit cards, lowered his credit limit, and denied his loan applications. Then he tried to lease a car, denied. Tried to rent an apartment, denied. His credit score was ruined, all because of the chargeback stunt he pulled on me. And since my parents had co-signed some of his accounts, now they were paying the price: higher interest rates, extra fees, major financial stress. I nearly burst out laughing. "So let me guess," I said, pretending to think. "You need me to fix this?" Dad exhaled. "It's the least you can do after everything we've done for you." I lost it. I laughed so hard I had to put the phone on mute. When I finally spoke, my voice was ice cold. "The least I can do? You stole from me, you tried to take my room, you called me selfish for setting boundaries, and now you want a favor?" Silence. Then Dad gritted his teeth. "Just help your brother, he's family." I grinned. "I don't have a brother." Then I hung up. And that was the last time I ever spoke to them. I blocked every number, ignored every email. They even sent relatives after me, blocked. Lucas, he spiraled. With no one to bail him out, he missed payments, got evicted, and ended up crashing on a friend's couch. Mom and Dad, they had to take on his debt. It wrecked them financially. Me? I thrived. I traveled. I upgraded my apartment. I got promoted at work. And the best part? I never looked back.